What's up? You got your boy Dyreck, aka Native Shades, reminding you to like and subscribe. Cause today we're gonna be talking about Planet Phatt. What had happened was... So what is Planet Phatt? Do you know what Planet Phatt is? Have you ever heard of this piece of equipment? What is it? How do you use it? Why would you use it? Well, that's what we're gonna talk about today. So we're gonna take it back, all the way back to the year 70. That's right, 1970. The 70s was like another universe for some folks. You had cats walking around with afros and dashikis. You had females wearing bell bottoms, and the men too. Everybody was saying peace and soul, brother number one. The Bruce Lee Kung Fu flicks was in full effect. Everybody was trying to catch bullets with their teeth. Catches bullets with his teeth? Negro, please. The 70s was where it was at. And a young Dave Rossum from Caltech University, him and his buddies wanted to form a band. Matter of fact, back then around this time, this is kind of when the term garage band became really famous. Like late 60s, early 70s, forming a band was the thing to do. If you and your crew was together and you guys wanted to do something, hey, let's make a band. And who knows, sometimes you would get signed to a record label and just blast to #1 like Question Mark and the Mysterians. These things could happen in the 70s. So Dave Rossum and his friends wanted to form a band. And in the band, they had a dude that wanted to play the synthesizer. Well, they couldn't afford a synthesizer, so they was like, hey, let's build one. And Dave, who was studying biology but also knew a lot of computer stuff, started building a synthesizer. And in ordering the parts from the synthesizer, the companies they were ordering from was asking him, oh, okay, who we're sending this to? What's the name of your company? And just off a whim, Dave was like, okay, EMU Systems. And like that, EMU Systems was formed. It was a special time back then. Back then, if you brought a product, they would actually give you like a manual or instructions on how the product was built and how to build the product yourself. Like there were actual magazines and newspaper articles that would tell you how to program a computer or how to build a synthesizer. Like this is true facts. Back then, they were giving out this information basically for free. It's kind of like, remember when the Chinese store used to give you fortune cookies for free to read your fortune? You know, you break open the cookie and it'll say, hey, business looks good. And you just feel happy for the rest of the day. Fortune cookies at one point was so big when you were buying Chinese food that if they forgot to put the fortune cookie in the bag and you got home and realized, oh, they forgot to put the fortune cookies in here. It could be 20 blocks away. You would walk all the way back to the Chinese store, just kick in the door. The Chinese guys would be like, hey, what's up? You're back. Another order? You'll be like, no, y'all forgot to put the fortune cookies in the bag. I want the fortune cookies. In 1984, EMU Systems actually won a contest. It was a contest from a company called Seattle Silicon that basically designed tiny chips. So EMU designed a synthesizer program on one of these little tiny chips, and they put it in their Emacs keyboard. And it was okay, you know, it wasn't the greatest, but it was cool. But in 1989, they got it together and they developed the G chip. Yes, folks, the G chip. It was all that and a bag of chips. This was an advancement in EMU's technology. It could play 32 notes and it sounded incredible with a warm, amazing sound. And you can pitch it up or down without losing any quality. This was amazing. So the first piece of gear they threw this chip in was the Proteus. And this joint, the Proteus, became an orchestra in a box. And in 1997, EMU decided to put out one of their most legendary pieces of equipment that used this G chip, and that was Planet Phatt. You're getting a 16-part multi-timbral module. You're getting 32 voice polyphony with over 470 waveforms. The wavetable samples are coded at 16-bit, 39 kilohertz. You're getting an incredible low-pass filter, high-pass filter, band-pass filter. You even get the Z-Planes filter, derived from the EMU Morpheus, which gives you sweep, vocal format, and phaser. You're getting envelopes, LFOs. You're getting EMU's world-renowned beat system, which gives you over 100 programmable drum sounds. This is like a drum machine and a sound module mixed in one. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the ultimate rack mount module, aimed specifically for the hip-hop EDM crowd. I mean, think about it. This machine was specifically aimed at hip-hoppers, to the point they named it Planet Phatt, spelling Phatt P-H-A-T-T. You know what I'm saying? Hip-hoppers were the only ones using the word fat back then. You would say, yo, man, that's a fat beat. Or, yo, bro, that's a fat pair of kicks you got on. Oh, yo, shorty got a fatty. We were the only ones using it. When Planet Phatt came out, it was either you was in the know or you wasn't. You gotta remember, this was 1997. Producers were still hiding their equipment from their ops, from their counterparts, from other producers. They did not want other producers stealing their sound or their ideas. So Planet Phatt was something that you had to be in the know to really appreciate what it could do. Producers back then didn't really want to make friends with every single Tom, Dick, and Harry producer out there. They really wanted to hide their secret sauce. They didn't want to be friends with everyone. It's kind of like when you're a dad, and you tell your son, you tell him, hey man, watch out, bro. Everyone's not your friend. And your son's like, yeah, I know, Dad. And through school and playing in the playground and everything like that, he ends up having a couple of friends. And one day you come home from work and see about 6 guys in your living room. And your son just playing 2K. And you're wondering, who are these guys? So you call out to your son, you're like, hey, David, who are these guys? These are your friends? And he's like, yeah, Dad, these are my new friends. And you're like, oh, okay, that's cool, man. Enjoy the game. Hey, where'd you meet them? And he's like, no, Dad, I met him online. And then you're like, online? And he's like, yeah, I met him on a website. It's a website called Reddit. You're like, what? Hey, get these jerks out of my living room right now. Get them out of my living room right now, or else I'm calling the police. So the workflow of Planet Phatt is pretty simple. You turn it on, and on the main screen, it has C. C stands for channel. So basically, you have 16 channels. You could kind of think of it like tracks, So with the unit, you can basically start going through the different channels and assigning different instruments to the channel. And let's say if you had it hooked up to a sampler or a drum machine or something that you could sequence your sound on, you just create a drum sequence and then go to channel 2 on the Planet Phatt and put a guitar sound. You would have to go to MIDI channel 2 on your sequencer so that it's in sync with the channel on the Planet Phatt, and then you can program your guitar. And then go to MIDI channel 3 on your sequencer and go to channel 3 on the Planet Phatt, and let's say you program your bass sound. And you basically create your track or your melody like that. So you have the master button. The master button pretty much controls the global functions of a lot of the settings on the Planet Phatt. With the cursors, you can move down to the category section, whether it's a bass sound or a guitar sound or a hit sound. And from there, you can go and audition the different sounds in that category section. And that's pretty much it to the unit. You can just move the cursor to different screens and manipulate the settings on that screen. It's almost like using a VST, to tell you the truth. These were basically hardware VSTs. And a lot of producers had this unit chilling in their studio on the low. It was like their secret weapon. But one thing about this unit is it stood out. EMU made sure to make a hip-hop unit that stood out. So when you go to a studio, it sticks out like a purple elephant in the room, you know? Folks will be like, hey, yo, I love the MPC and the ASR 10 over there. Hey, what's that Barney piece on the side you got there? And you'll just be like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's, just a module I use every now and then. Not knowing that module is 90% of your studio. And the Planet Phatt had the legendary EMU Beats mode, which was pretty much loops that were programmed and assigned to the unit already. But the special thing about these loops was that you could change the actual MIDI notes of the loop by transposing up and down on the keyboard, or by jumping to different sections in a song mode to make them play in a variety of different ways. So it actually gave you a way to guarantee that your programming of your drums or whatever sounds you were using were unique. Now, when Planet Phatt came out, it was about $9.95. That was basically a gift price to producers at the time. But things started to change in the music production space. And that's kind of where Planet Phatt and other sound modules fell short. Give it a couple of years and the early 2000s hit. Everything started to change. Computers started to become real important in music production. Software like Pro Tools were king. To the point, if you did not have a Pro Tools rig in your studio, people didn't consider you as a real producer. People would go spend a lot of money, like thousands of dollars, to go in the studio. If they didn't see a Pro Tools rig in there or some kind of computer hooked up in there, they walked out. And some features of the unit did kind of, after a while, annoy folks. Like, they were like, hey man, could we get a bigger screen? It's kind of tiny. And after a while, I'm kind of sick and tired of squinting my eyes to see this slim screen. Even though it did have backlighting, so it did help out a lot. And some folks probably would have wanted, a couple knobs in there. Might have helped out as far as the tweaking and things like that. But even still, a lot of legendary producers still held on to Planet Phatt. Guys like legendary hip-hop producer Clark Kent used Planet Phatt. Guys like Ski Beats, aka Joe Chink, used Planet Phatt. Even hip-hop royalty like DJ Premier used this unit. It was a lot of producers' secret weapon. They just couldn't get around the 480 magnificent sounds geared towards hip-hop and EDM. You were getting great bass sounds, awesome drum sounds, magnificent synth sounds. Planet Phatt just couldn't be beat. So yeah, that's Planet Phatt. What had happened was... So this is your boy Dyreck, aka Native Shades, reminding you to go down low in the description and get that MPC-1 Hidden Strategies, where I'm giving you a free MPC 4000 sound library. It doesn't exist anymore. Over a gig of sounds. You know what I'm saying? Put that joint on your MPC-1 and you are good. So this is your boy Dyreck, aka Native Shades, reminding you to like and subscribe. And I'm signing off.